Why? Just why? Why do so many people lash out in anger? I do it. I do it all the time. My producer and I were just laughing about it. I do. I get so angry. And you know what I always say? I always say it's just because I'm so frustrated. If you want to learn more about frustration, aggression principle, stay tuned to this episode of MysterE's MysterE. I am Mr. E. We are going to be exploring all things mysterious in the world of psychology, including frustration. I get so mad. I get so frustrated. And that's why this episode hits home for me. In psychology, it's called the frustration aggression principle. What it is, when you have feelings of annoyance or feelings of irritation and you are blocked from accomplishing a goal, that's frustration. When you are blocked from accomplishing a goal, you then have a tendency to lash out with aggression. Now, what is aggression? Aggression is behavior that is intended to harm. Okay. This intention to harm can be physical, but it also can be verbal. It can be an attack on somebody spiritually, morally, ethically, etc. But in either case, whether it's verbally or whether it is physically, it is intended to do harm. So many people were flabbergasted. They could not believe what had happened with Luigi Mangione and the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO, Mr. Thompson. And people were online, they're talking about, I have an address for another CEO, or all of these sorts of like horrific things. And people were wondering, like, oh my God, how can people respond this way? Right? I will not get into why Luigi Mangione did what he did. I have no idea what was going on in his head. I don't know what was happening. But when you look at people's responses online, when you are constantly being blocked from, in this case, healthcare, as many people have been, you get incredibly frustrated. And when you get incredibly frustrated, you can get angry. And then all of a sudden, you are blurting out words that are intentionally harmful. Now, you go on certain comment threads, like certain news threads, you get horrific things being typed out all the time. I mean, I'm not going to say what those news stations or media outlets are, but I'm sure you've been on them, and I'm sure you've seen them, and there are horrible things being said. And we can talk about the anonymity and all that sort of stuff, which plays a role in the de-individuation. Yeah, we can talk about all that. But in this particular case, when you're talking about all of these individuals that are incredibly frustrated with our healthcare system, as I'm sure many of the people listening are, you have a tendency to act out aggressively. In this case, the comments online were really horrible things that were said about healthcare CEOs and et cetera, and people that are talking about I don't want anybody to die, but, and it's like, how in the heck, when do we ever add a but where we say, I don't want anybody to die, but come on, that's a little harsh, right? So what happens is this public response, this public lack of outcry, or whatever you want to say, is based off of frustration. And then you go into like the false narratives and the comparisons and those types of things. And those can lead to like a tremendous level of, I guess you would call it, this perceived slight when violence has occurred towards other people, and it doesn't get nearly the recognition as it got against somebody that has a position of power and that is wealthy and those types of things. Then you get those frustrations as well. So it's not that just from a healthcare perspective, but it's also from, wait, I know somebody that's died. I know somebody that's been killed. They did not waltz around and have this big press conference with this individual walking through with the mayor of the city and those types of things. And all it does is just piss people off. Like, it's like, why does his life matter more than my friends? Right? Does his life matter more than this child that was shot down in a school? right? And people get frustrated, and they have every right to get frustrated. It doesn't give them the right to act out aggressively and violently towards other people. But if we don't see the obvious connection between frustration and aggression, we're missing out. Okay. And we can continue, like we can dull it down a little bit and kind of, you know, make it not quite as controversial. We can talk about just something like road rage. Good gosh. Like, seriously, you want to talk about just overreaction, right? But all of a sudden, people are trying to get someplace in a hurry, and that's all it takes is somebody driving too slow in the fast lane, and they are freaking out, honking on their horn, riding their bumper, doing this, doing that, and then all of a sudden leading to a violent altercation while you're just simply driving car on a street. And we have these violent altercations, and we wonder why people would respond when they're being blocked off from healthcare and that sort of thing with aggressive comments or aggressive actions. Maybe in Luigi's case, we don't know. We have no idea. But should we really be surprised? Right? Have you ever gotten home and something wasn't done and then you couldn't sit down and relax? And so it stopped you from being able to chill after a long day and you just wanted to scream, right? You just wanted to yell at your partner or you wanted to yell at the dog or whatever, because it's like, I just want to chill out. And that's blocked. And you're frustrated and you're annoyed and you're irritated. And that frustration, annoyance, and irritation can expand itself into aggressive and violent acts. I won't say the team that I root for. You see this emblem, so you guess what state I'm from. But, you look at Green Bay Packer losses, and this isn't a joke. This is serious. You look at Green Bay Packers, when they lose, the amount of physical abuse that occurs in homes on nights after Packer games are actually increased when the Packers lose. I mean, you throw in alcohol, you throw in the frustration of a silly football game, that type of thing, and all of a sudden you lead to more aggressive acts. In no way, case, or form am I saying this is okay. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying any of these aggressive acts are justifiable. But I think it's really important to understand where they come from. Okay. I'm talking to, let's say, my football team at the end of a game, and we're winning by 20 points, and the other team can't win, and they get incredibly frustrated. And what do you see at the end of every football game? Personal fouls left and right, because players are frustrated, right? Because they're going to lose the game. So you're telling your team, if you're winning, don't do anything silly. They're just frustrated. And, it's really simple common sense, not justified, but definitely something to be aware of. And this is also something, the more we are aware of these things, the more we can control our responses to those frustrations, because it is also a learned experience. We're not predestined to act out aggressively just because we get frustrated. That can be our default circuitry in our brain, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can rewire our responses in a Skinnerian sort of matter to be able to reshape our responses to that frustration and to respond in a much more healthy way. So as we move forward, just recognize that principle. And if you ever wonder why somebody is frustrated on the highway, you can now guess why. Okay. So this is MysterE. This is MysterE's Mysteries. Hey, make sure you check us out on Spotify or Apple, Insta, TikTok, you name it, anywhere you can find that information. Keep liking our reels on YouTube. And hey, you know what? Give us a 5-star rating. Help us boost our street cred. Big thank you to Unify Agency and Bear Wade for everything he does for us. You all have a great day. See ya.